Welcome to another episode of Stand-Up Comedians Writing Comedy. One day we'll write a better name for that, but for right now at SEOs, I'm so excited to have my bro on, Ryan Erwin. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very good. I woke up at noon, so I got up early today.
That's the life of a comedian. Now, Ryan, you just finished shooting your second dry bar special last night.
2 nights ago, but yes, I got home
Two,
last night. Yeah,
that
yeah.
is
It was
incredible.
great. I had a lot of fun.
And how do people find that to see that you're a headliner and to see your content out there?
So my first Dry Bar special came out a few years ago. That's available on the Dry Bar Comedy Plus app as well as YouTube. My new special probably won't come out till later this year. And it'll be on the same platforms, Dry Bar Comedy Plus. It's its own app. And then after it's been on the app for a few months, they upload it to YouTube.
That's amazing. So the way this show works is we like to take two rough jokes each. We're going to try to write through it. We're going to talk about our writing process. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like stand-up comedy and getting introduced to new comedians. We encourage you to be funnier than us. I think they said 5,000 monkeys could create Shakespeare, and neither of us are as good as Shakespeare. So I encourage you to be one of those monkeys and help us finish tagging this. With that being said, let's get into the first rough idea or rough joke. Coming to the stage, Ryan Erwin.
Hello. So when I was in high school, I was on the girls' basketball team. I was the manager. I wasn't really good at playing basketball, but I was good at watching. And so there was an opening and I took it, and the girls were fantastic. The coach was very supportive. She always made sure I had all like the uniforms and the sweatshirts and the swag and stuff. But she also got me practice uniforms, which I never attended practice. And she was also my biology teacher. So one day in the middle of a lecture, she stopped and went, "Ryan, I have your pants in my car." And, and the classroom like kind of like went all over the place, went in a tizzy. And she's like, no, 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 like it's not what you think. Like he's on the girls' basketball team. And it's like, this is not helping. All right, put the shovel down, stop digging. Like, I almost wanted to be like, guys, no, it's not what you think. Like, she's a woman. I would never. But yeah, so that's the end of the joke I have right there. There's more context behind it, but like that's like the distilled version of that joke.
I'll be honest, that's a banger. That's one of the stronger ones that people have brought out here with the rough joke.
Thank you. Okay, I've only done that once on stage and it went okay. I didn't even do it exactly like that. Like that's been like the retooled version.
Yeah, I think it would also help the audience to know that you are a very gay man. So I didn't put that in
No, no,
your
no, it's fine.
intro.
Normally people catch on, like, and I swear, like, whenever I open a show, I'm always like, hi, like, you can tell by the sound of my voice, I am a mechanic. Like, I usually, like, address that, or people catch on, and usually when I perform, I have these, like, you saw me have these bright, fun-colored shirts, like, people know
Yeah.
the second I walk on stage that there's a homosexual. But, yeah, that joke, there's, like, more to that backstory, but like each time like I've looked at it, I'm like, it's not necessary right now. But I also know sign language, and we had a deaf student in the class. And so the sign language interpreter was signing that whole interaction and was just as confused as the students. And she's explaining to this deaf girl that she's just like, oh, he plays on the basketball team. His pants are in the car. Like there's more, there's like an act out that I'd like to do, but I don't know if it's there yet. I was like, let's work on like the crux of the story first, and then if there's more time I can establish that, because she was my lab partner the whole term, because I know sign language, so she like paired us together. And like there's also stuff I want to explore in that realm, because like when we had to dissect the starfish, like we did like a sign language battle of arguing because neither of us wanted to dissect it. And so like there, but like that's like a different realm, but like
So
it was
one of the difficulties of working with people at your stage, right, is you're doing 40-minute sets, 50-minute sets, hour-long sets, right? So when we come in and you just did it, there's probably like a minute and a half at least there, and you had more. There was more. It wasn't that you ran out of steam. You're making the decision and dial it back. So I want to just try to break down the smallest two pieces, because there's two small pieces here, right? So I think the first
yeah.
piece is like, I was on a women's basketball team, right? So I think that's a piece. And then this interaction with the coach the secret affair, the mistaken identity, right? Like that's the second piece. So let's look at it. Let's look at each piece. So you say I was on a girls basketball team. So when you say it just like that, I think a great setup would be, again, the people at home wouldn't see this. You're a big guy, 6'3", 6'4", you're tall, right? Big guy.
6'5".
6'5". I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to take inches from you.
I'm not a short king. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So you're a big guy. So I think a natural way of going into this is, I'm a big guy. People are always like, did you play basketball? And I was on a basketball team, a women's basketball team. And now you're into it, right?
Okay. Yeah. Cause like the one time I did that joke, I was just like, so I was on the girls basketball team and someone wooed, and I would like, and that's when I realized I was like, oh, like I'm in like Brooklyn, New York. She probably thinks I'm trans. Like
Yeah.
she's like, oh, what an act of bravery you're telling. And I was like, oh, like it like never dawned on me, but like we're in 2023 where everyone is gender neutral. And so I was like, okay, so how do I address that?
Now, do you
like I don't want to get hung up on it, but like there's something that I could play there, but I just don't know what it is. But like that's why I wonder if a long pause would work better. If like, hi, so in high school I was on the girls basketball team. I don't know what to do there, like what physical, if there's a physical thing I need to do, or it's like, no, I wasn't brave, I was just bad at basketball. Like I just like I don't know. There's something that I could play with there, maybe. That's maybe where I'm getting hung up on. I don't know if that's where your brain went.
Let me ask you a couple questions.
Hung up on the show.
Let me ask you a couple questions. So did you enjoy playing sports at any point in your life?
Oh yeah, I did football in high school. I didn't make the basketball team, but I did city league basketball. We had junior jazz, which was our city rec league. Our church had a basketball team. Like I love playing sports. Like
okay,
even to this day I join like rec volleyball leagues and stuff. So like I love playing sports. So that's why I'm wondering if that joke I said where it's like, I'm bad at playing basketball, but I am good at watching it.
But you're not
I don't know if there's something more I can do with that.
But are you bad really though? Like are you actually bad?
Well, not good enough to make the team. So
the men's team.
I did try out for the boys basketball team.
You're not good enough to make the men's team, but you would have been a valuable player on the women's team, I'm sure, right? Like
yeah, okay. Like I couldn't make the men's team, but I was all state on the women's team. I was the state manager of the year. No, which wasn't a thing. So but no, I get what you're saying with that, where it's like, okay,
maybe that's your way into the trans thing, right? You're like I tried out for the men's team, didn't make it, so I took the job as the manager on the women's team. Like, if the trans thing had been around, like if that had been
I don't know if I want to go down that route. I don't know if I want to go down that route. But we did have a girl my height on the basketball team. She was my homecoming date one year. She was 6'4". She got a scholarship to the University of Utah to play basketball. So, I did have an equal.
That was the only couple they didn't have to give a "Don't have sex tonight" speech to.
Yeah, well, because that would have been a no-go for me.
Also predominantly there's a lot of lesbians in women's basketball as well. So you got
no, she's not.
We don't know that.
A baby.
As an audience, we don't know that.
Oh, okay, that's fair. I was like I know her. I'm still friends with her.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Because what I'm trying to wonder is, am I getting too hung up on the whole did your brain go to like transgender thing, or is that just me being
it's a misdirect
right now?
It opens with a trans misdirect, I think, because when you say I was on the women's basketball team, it's like, oh, we're gonna get a trans story, and then it was actually refreshing that it wasn't. So I like the idea to not force it there. I'm struggling because what I thought immediately the first time I heard this was, oh, it would be funny if you were like really passionate about the women's basketball team for every reason except basketball. Like you were super passionate about the outfits. Like you were the only team that had wardrobe changes. Like, you would make sure that the girls had like sparkling water, and like, it was like This is not like, instead of just orange slices, it was like a fruit basket and like a charcuterie board.
Okay,
Like, yeah,
because our school mascot, and I had this in the joke, but I cut it because it just was kind of irrelevant information. But our school's mascot was the bees, and our girls' team was the lady bees, which I thought was a wasted opportunity. We could have been the queen bees, and the boys' team could have been the worker bees. I was like, there's something there instead of just like, oh, the lady bees. Like, why were we not the queen bees, right? So like
I was the
I
biggest
was I
queen.
was the I was the alpha worker for these queens, right?
Yeah.
Normally a queen has 1,000 bees, but these 15 queens had one worker, and that was me. Like
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. It's just not super necessary for the joke of like the teacher like having my pants or whatever, which is just sentence set out of context is bad. But yeah, I just was wondering if it's just not relevant right now to the crux of the joke.
I think it's two, there's definitely two jokes here, right? So like if we can break out separate ideas that stand on their own, then we have two ideas or more, right? So the idea of you being the manager on this girls basketball team and then that misdirect at the top is its own joke. It lives and breathes on its own, right? The idea of the women's basketball coach having your pants in her car is also, I think, a joke that is on its own. In fact, it might even hit harder if one day in class the women's basketball coach was like, "Hey, I have, your pants in my car," not because I was straight, because I was her manager or whatever the reason is that you want to get into that. But both of those could live on their own, right? I think it's very
Okay.
organic to do it like you're doing, but we can tag these up and we can talk about them independently because you could make the
Because like
decision to tell one or both.
because like my concept of like writing, like my writing process, because I'm very much a storyteller, is like I write everything about a story, every detail, and it usually is like 5 minutes, and then I go, how do I cut this down to 30 minutes? What's the core like necessary elements of the story? And then I go, how do I make that 30 seconds funny? And then build out so it builds back up to a 5 minute thing, but everything is punchy and relevant. And so the part right now is I just did the breakdown to the 30 seconds or whatever, and then I threw in like the to punch it up.
Yeah.
But I know it can expand to something more. So like,
I also
yeah,
think there's
that's
a
just
lot
kind of
of
like where I'm
room
at in the writing process.
on the basketball idea. There's a lot of room for an act out here because like you
Mm.
are wearing colorful stuff. You are a big guy. There's so many scenarios like scenario one, the girls on the other team see you warming up the girls and they think, oh wow, like we're gonna have to play against her, right? Is that is that the right? Like
Okay.
we're gonna have to play
So
against
I'm
her,
like a
right?
smoke screen. I'm like a
Yeah.
smoke screen. I'm a decoy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't even think about that
Uh
because like I remember during games where like I would have to race back and like fill up the water bottles. And I was like, I don't know if there's something there that's funny where it's like I'm like a pit crew at NASCAR where it's just like scuba by scuba by scuba by water, water, water. Like I don't know if there's something there. But also I remember we would go to other teams' gyms, and when they had a tall girl, they would have me go walk near her as like a height reference. And so I would pretend to stop near her and look for someone so the girls could size up how the height difference between, because one girl was like 6'9" on one of the schools. And so like I walked by and like kind of stood there like looking at my phone, looking around, giving them enough time to assess the height. And we walked back and I was like, yeah, she's like 3-4 inches taller than you. I was like, okay, so she's 6'9". Like
I like
I
the
was like
idea. I
yeah.
like the idea of an angry gay coach too. So like you're on the sideline, you're like, that's ridiculous. Look at her feet. They're on the line. Look at those ugly shoes. Those ugly Versace shoes touch that line. Like you could take something a coach would normally say, right? Like I'd be like, she's
Mm,
flopping. And then you do like a jazz hands flop. Like she's flopping. This is what she looks like. But add
okay, all
anger,
right.
add the juxtaposition of the really angry masculine coach who is also completely gay at the same time, right? And then like that's a
So like a
unique
male
act
version of
out.
Kim Mulkey.
Well, I was thinking a gay version of Bobby Knight.
Okay, see, I was thinking Kim Mulkey. She was the coach of LSU who would wear the big flamboyant like ruffle sleeve shoulders. I don't know if you saw ESPN, but like her outfits this NCAA tournament were like extreme. She had like these big ruffly shoulder pads.
Is she
At one of
famous
the
for being
games.
angry? Is she famous for being angry?
Yes,
Okay, I
she's
just didn't
very
know.
much the yeah, she's very much stomp on the court with her very nice stilettos and
Yes.
slapped and
Then
all
then
her
that.
jewelry.
The problem will
Okay.
be that most of your audience will never get that reference. I think gay Bobby Knight, younger people won't even get that, but you'd have to be like a real basketball fan. But Bobby Knight, is going to be way more well known than
Yeah.
You could say
Kimberly.
gay Bill Belichick, right? Like just what you could play with different famous angry coaches. Yeah, there's a lot there. Yeah, I think we've covered the first part. Let's talk about the second part, which is the I mean, I almost think it's like good as is. Add
Well,
in
and
the
that's
deaf interpreter. Add the deaf interpreter in for the second
at
part.
the end.
100%.
Well, because that's what I
Yeah.
was saying. Like at its core, like I know the joke works, but I was like, I know there's more there. That's why I brought it up because I'm like, I know it's a solid joke, but like, I think we can. I was like, I think there's more to mine here. There's more to like go off of.
I'm also interested
So
in
yeah,
what
that
the
was my thought. Is like if I do that, because then it's like I tell the whole story, people laugh, and then they go, and there was an interpreter, and I can sign the like hands are in the car, like and like that whole thing, and like then reliving it through the act out. I was wondering if
yeah.
that might work.
Well, also I think you introduced, right? So like whenever like there's a embarrassing scene happening, one of the great things I love about misdirection jokes is like it changes where it's happening. Like someone was like, I have a joke like this. It's a lot of people have this. It's like I hate when people argue about their ex, like, oh, my ex is so dumb, dirty, rotten, like smells. And it's like, okay, dad. And so that last word, right, it changes the whole set and setting because we went from thinking a random bitter guy was arguing to now someone's talking about the biological mom. So I think the deaf interpreter is a great chance to add a character that changes our whole perception of what was happening because we've gone through this whole thing in our head and now you're adding another adult who's like also and like the adult is like not sure what the sign for child protective services is. Like like and then also you could do some wacky like sexual or silly looking signs. Like I don't know, I don't want to be derogatory to people that do ASL.
Yeah.
My mom knows ASL. I don't know the sign, but like you got that or
What if I did like I told the joke and then I go, and then there was an interpreter there interpreting for the girl next to me, and this is what the interpreter did, and then people laugh. And then what if I did a third act out as the deaf student who's just watching and then reacting and going,
I think it's like the
like,
kids were laughing, but the adult deaf interpreter was just
well, she was laughing too
furiously.
because she was like, what is going on? Because like I've known her, like she's my mom's friend or whatever, but like I just remember like her being like, what is going on? Like she was so
Yeah,
confused.
but I don't think laughing is the natural. It doesn't fit the setting for the audience, right? You being there, it makes sense, but like to laugh about a joke about a student and a teacher, right? Like I think it's more like they need the clarification. Like I think it's funnier if there's like a relief, like there's relief, like oh, because of the basketball team, like that makes a lot more sense. I don't know, but a lot of different ways to play that. I'm feeling the heat because this is the first time where I felt like someone came in with a pretty well fleshed out joke, and this is one of the this is I'm not allowed to warn myself, but this is one of the roughest ones I've had yet on the show. So we're gonna jump right into it. So
all right, go for it.
Coming to the stage, Josh with his rough joke number 1. So I've been crying a lot lately. I don't know what a lot is, but like whatever the appropriate amount of crying for a male is, I've been crying more than that. It's easier to cry when it's allergy season, but it's not even allergy season right now. So they're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, childhood trauma, and that's not a conversation for the workplace at all. It's like it's 9 a.m. and this is a Zoom call, so I'm still alone at the end of the day. Yeah, so that's like the top idea of it. I had a lot of other add-ons I did, but I've been crying is the joke.
Okay. I like because you've seen like the meme or the tweet where it's like, "Sir, this is a Wendy's." Like that's kind of where I thought you were like, because when you're just like, "Sir, it's 9 a.m. on a Zoom call. Can you not today?"
Yeah.
Like, or if you said something where it's like, "So I'm just there. I cry every day at work, which is awkward because I have Zoom calls at 9 a.m. and my manager has to say, like, can we not do this today?" like it's like a reoccurring thing or
You don't have
something.
to be on video.
Yeah, your screen can be off. So can your audio. Honestly, you can just log off. Like, really, we'll just send this in an email. Like, that might be kind of funny. I also
My
think
boss
I
just
don't
mutes. He just mutes
yeah.
me. My boss just mutes me.
Like, I don't know. I think there's something with the comparison. Like, when you're like, what's the normal amount for a man in his 30s? You can like give examples. Like, like, is it like, is 3 times the minimum threshold, or like, or is it like, is it okay if I cry every time I get a Starbucks because it reminds me of whatever? Like, you could give like specific examples of things that make you cry, and they can be like, I think I love absurdity, so like it could start off just like vague and benign. It's like, I see that thing and I think of her, and then I see this thing and I think of my father, and then I see this thing and I remember failing third grade spelling test. Like it can just like
Too
escalate.
too serious. One random
Yeah,
third
but
item.
just kind of like slowly build where it's like, all right, well, that last one you really shouldn't be crying over. Or when you say like childhood trauma, you can just go like, now that someone's brought it up, you can just like start like unloading. You can be like, when is it too early to talk about childhood trauma? Now that you brought up childhood trauma, in when I was like since one of you brought up childhood trauma, like just like pawn it off as an excuse to go into your childhood trauma.
Well, I stopped there. So when I was writing this out, I wrote this out yesterday. And it is something I'm going through, but like a lot of people don't like the Disney movies because the strong women, like they've been putting stronger and stronger female characters. And my stance is that we actually need more weak male characters. Like I'm tired of trying to like live up to Iron Man. I'll never be as smart as him, or the Hulk. I'll never have that big of a dick. Like what I need is a guy who tries really hard but is painfully lower middle class, like in like can't man. That's what I need. Like he just can't, but he
Yes, no,
tries.
that's definitely what you need to like. I think if that's where you're going, I think speed up the whole I'm crying a lot thing and get right to that point, because like, if your premise is to get to those like, we need more weak male characters and stories for relatability purposes. I think you should go, I've been crying a lot lately. My boss repeatedly tells me I don't have to be on this Zoom call.
Mm.
I think, and just kind of like, then just get right to the whole, like, I'm, in this new era, there's all these strong female empowered characters, which is great, but we need more weak, powerless, frail men to be role models for us, to show us that it's okay, and like then just do what you just did, because then it kind of like uses that first part as like the setup to get to the premise.
Yeah, yeah. I
If
think
that's
that
where you want it to go, I think just like quickly getting through that.
my problem, which is a good problem, is I'll start writing and I get a lot, right? So I also had I wish there were speakeasy. This is all true. I was crying when I wrote this. Like I've been going through some stuff with my family. Like my mom's my mom's bipolar and she doesn't take her meds. And that's a whole nother set of jokes and it's a whole nother thing. But like I was crying and crying doesn't really fit my brand. Like not even that I try to have a brand. Just like when people come to me, they don't expect people look. When I cry, it makes people uncomfortable because I'm supposed to be the bad guy. And it's like if I'm crying, it's like, what horrible thing. Like if you
Yeah,
just
I'm
saw
the villain in everyone's story, and if I'm emotionally distressed, what else is out there? No, I think
like if
that's a fun thing to
like if you walked into a room and the Joker was just crying, like he wasn't maniacally laughing, he was like, had a rough day. You'd be like, what has happened?
Yeah, no, that's great, because I actually, one of my other options is going to talk about how I cry a lot.
I love it. I love it.
So
Let's
I
do
was
it.
like,
Let's have an
what
all
are the
crying
odds, the two
episode.
of us?
The
Yeah,
other
just like
the
a
other
weepy episode.
the other direction I had, and this is true, is like I wish there was like a speakeasy, like a secret club that like straight confused men could go to, confused about their emotions, not their sexuality. And then we could just hug other strange men and cry, and never, like, we wouldn't have the tools to help each other, but it would just be a place for crying and hugging. Like, I wish that
Or
exists.
instead of bartenders, there's therapists that are just like dishing up like antidepressant cocktails or whatever. And then instead of burlesque dancers, they're like therapists that are like, you should text your mother. Instead of dancing, like doing a strip show, they're like stripping you emotionally. where they're like, you should really call your mom. And
No,
so
I think
like
it's, I think it's
do that twist,
bartender.
like
So it's bartenders serving Zoloft, burlesque dancers pretending to be your mom. I'm so proud of you.
and like giving you like gold stickers or something. Like, yes, no, I think that's funny. Like, we need a speakeasy, but not for alcohol, but for emotional support.
Man, I like that a lot. Yeah, so I don't know if I'm trying to get to the Marvel stuff. I don't know if I'm trying to get to the Disney stuff, but it's just talking about, my emotions, and also, like, if there's one thing in comedy, it's like I don't have a brand. Like, I haven't developed, like, some of my friends. I have one friend, and he, like, is like West meets East, and he's this, like, rap style Pakistani guy, where, like, he, like, wears sneakers, and, like, his brand is like the West meets East thing. Like, that's him. And you hear that, you see him talk for a second, you're like, okay, that's his brand. And then I'll have another friend, and like, their brand is being angry all the time. So, like, they're just angry about everything. And it's good. It's good. I don't think I've given enough identifying information yet that I would be digging on the person. But it then means that there's other jokes they can't do because they have to be the angry.
Oh.
Like,
Nope, because I'm the clean gay comedian. So there are just things that I also can't do. There are jokes that I just give to other people. It's like, I can't get away with that. Because I've tried doing like some jokes where it's like, all right, let's be a little filthy, a little raunchy. And everyone's like, can you talk about the Babysitters Club again? Like,
I don't know.
like, it's just like, I give off a vibe.
I don't know, man. Two dry bar specials. I do a lot of clean gay stuff for two dry bar specials.
So, but like, that's because I mostly do college shows. Like, that's where I make most of my money. And like, there you have to be like squeaky clean. So like, for me, I don't have a lot of opportunities to do that, nor do I have a lot of need to do something like raunchy. So I get that whole, like, on the one hand, having identifiers makes it easy to like start somewhere, but on the other hand, it also restricts you. So like, there's pros and cons, just like there's pros and cons of like kind of not having identity right now. It's like you can kind of explore wherever. The hard part is you like frame of reference. But like, what if your frame of reference or your identity was just like, I am generic white male, but I'm confused about it. But you go like, I know I'm not, because I cry every day. And like taking that route of like, when I get upset, I don't just, I don't know, drink and mow the lawn. You know, need a speakeasy for men like me or something. I don't know. Because then you could play into that.
It's like, I've been crying. Like, I went to the gym, I broke some stuff, I yelled at a stranger, and I'm still crying. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've tried everything. Like, at this point,
I became a construction worker for a day just to catcall people, and I didn't feel better.
yeah,
Like,
love it. Well,
I
thank
think
you.
it's something like I broke some shit, like, and I didn't feel better.
I think that I'm surprised that the crying actually had some legs to it. I thought that was going to bomb, but you also gave me a lot of really good notes, so I'll keep exploring that. With that being said, let's jump to your second idea. So, coming to the stage with his second rough idea, Ryan Erwin.
Hello. So I'm going to keep talking about my high school experience. I'm from a small town in Utah. We are an agriculture school, as you could tell by my existence. We were hardcore. We had drive your tractor to school day, and it's still a trend that they do to this day. We also had the state's #1 wrestling program. So imagine the horror of my alumni that they are now having to come to the terms with the fact that their most famous alumni is me, a gay icon, right? if those cauliflower-eared boys could read, they would be upset. All right. And that's kind of like, I'm like, there's something that because like I am from a small town. I am from an ag school. I am from a wrestling program. Like one of my best friends had a dairy farm. And then one of my friends down the road, she had her horse pasture, where we would go ride horses. And so like, I think it's really funny that like, the arguably I wouldn't say arguably, I was like one of the most famous recent alumni of my high school is a homosexual comedian. And so there's something that like there's something more that I can play with that, because I don't know why, but in the past like month I've been writing so much about like my high school experience, and like one of my jokes is like, so I was popular in high school, and yeah, I'm 32 and I still brag about being elected to student council. That's how my life is going. Like I want to do a whole thing about like me being in high school, because as I do my college stuff, when I talk about my town and I talk about high school, it like relates better with them because they were just in high school. So I've just been like percolating like, all right, what are some things about my high school experience that I could share, even though it was, 15 years ago, and it's a different world than it is now. There's still a couple of tried and true things. So that's kind of like where I'm going at with that bit.
And I immediately write a dirty tag. Like I immediately, you're like, I'm a clean gay comic. Let me talk about wrestling, and it's like write a clean tag, and it's like,
Yeah.
no. So what I wrote was I was a very good wrestler. Maybe it was how strong I was, raised on a farm. Maybe it was my size. Maybe it was how at home I was, holding a sweaty man. But I was good there. The only time I ever got pinned my junior year, my coach wasn't watching. He was behind me. So
that is a good joke. I don't think I can pull that off.
Yeah.
I think I could. I just couldn't pull it off and where I need to perform at.
I couldn't pull it off on stage. Off stage, I could pull it off.
Yeah, off stage for sure. No, so that's the sort of thing I'm like, I there's something about drive your tractor to school day that like it was a real thing. And they just parked them on the front lawn of the school. And we had all these like combines and ag things and John Deere all up and down our school. So I don't
like
know.
The idea. Okay, let's keep it clean. This will keep it clean. I like the idea of you promoting tolerance in the deep South, right? Because every time you beat a gay guy, right, they'd be like, you lost to a gay guy, and they're like, hey, gay guys are just like straight guys. They're completely normal. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like they would immediately change their prejudice. Otherwise, they lost to a gay man, and that's this like offensive thing.
No, that
to
was definitely the prejudice of our...
I know, but I'm saying like
yeah,
the guys you beat suddenly became allies. They were like, there's nothing.
He's actually really good.
Yeah, he's actually really good. There's no difference between a gay man and a straight man. Like, you'd lose to him too. He's really technically accurate. Had nothing,
Yeah, okay. Because I didn't wrestle, and I always made fun of them because I was one of the theater kids. It's like, why do you guys call us gay? We partner dance with girls. You get sweaty with boys. Like, what? Like, how are we the gay ones? And then, half of my drama department is gay. So, like, they weren't wrong, but like the logic.
So you didn't wrestle. So I'd heard it as you were a wrestler. Okay.
Oh, no. My school was an agriculture school that was, they were state champions like 8 out of like 14 years or whatever. Like, it's just like some insane wrestling stat. And like, we were such a huge wrestling school. And like, that's why I'm like, imagine me being the most famous alumni, a gay icon. Like, exactly not what our school was anticipating on sending out to the world.
I think there's something about, as a gay theater major, you didn't like wrestling for the same reason. Everyone's like, oh, you liked wrestling. But as a gay theater student, like I didn't like wrestling for the same reason I didn't like porn, right? Like in porn, the acting was never believable. And in wrestling, the two men,
I never believed they were in love. I never believed those two boys were in love. Right.
And that's the same thing as porn. That's the same in wrestling and porn. It's like whether I was watching porn or I was watching two men wrestle, I never believed they were in love. And because then it's playing on your theater and the gay, because it's the acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, they could have used some drama coaching, because I never believed any of those boys were in love. Like, nor did I believe they were breaking up. Like, I just like they would shake hands after. It's like, who does that after a breakup?
College wrestling, very boring. Professional wrestling, very flamboyant, very exciting, better outfits, better acting.
Better names,
W better names.
stage
W
names.
WWE, two jazz hands way up, like and I like that because the people that like wrestling the most tend to be in the quadrant that is not supportive of LGBT.
Yeah, well, and that's something where it's like, like there is something I want to play off that, because like I am from a well, right next to my town is a dairy, like Corinne is the dairy town, and like there were just like fields, like farming fields all over like my community. Like so many kids grew up on farms at my high school that I'm like, it's just, I think it's so funny, ironic, like that, like I am like the most, like I am the antithesis of what they wanted to have happen from their community, and I'm over here being in New York City being like, let me tell you about Brigham City, Utah. And it's like, okay, that's not who we wanted to be our ambassador. Like
Yeah,
that sort of mentality, but I
I
don't know
think
how
that
to
you
get
got. I think you got a lot of directions that you can go with that. The observer, the protester, right? So you're at a game watching it. You're at lunch talking to an athlete. You guys don't understand each other. We have so much in common, but we just don't understand each other. Like,
oh, what
he
if
thinks he thinks that wrestling, two men wrestling, is about scoring and who wins, and you just want to get to know the guy, and it's like, well, when do you get to know the guy? Like when
you didn't even get me a coffee.
yeah.
But I'm like, what if, like, when you're talking about like this, like act out the scenario, like, what if like there was a conversation between me and a wrestler where it's like, listen, you guys, like, I don't believe that you guys are in love, and like I'm giving him coaching while he's then giving me coaching on how to touch a woman to dance for the school musical, where he's just like, you need to
Ooh.
put your hands here, and I'm like, and you need to tell him like, I forgive you. Like, that sort of dynamic where it's like he's teaching me how to hold a woman and I'm telling him how to forgive another man. Like,
I
what
like
if,
that a lot.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, or if he's just like, he taught me like where to put my hand on her lower back, and I'm telling him, whisper, forgive you, I forgive you, and see if that
It's
changes the dynamic of the match.
it's not gay to have a good relationship with your father, Timmy. You can forget that. Like,
Okay, all right, because I do like that idea of like playing into that whole, because we were a wrestling school, we were an ag school, like, and then for whatever reason, we have a lot of homosexuals from our high school. So many of us.
it's all
And
that
so
pesticide in the water.
that's what we said. We said there's some fluoride that they put in because our grade, oof, and
Our
somehow it
mas
made us.
our mascot was just two gay frogs.
Your mascot was a frog?
No, I'm playing on the ag school,
Oh, sorry.
right?
We were
So
the
like,
bees. We were the bees. I'm trying to
I
think of
know,
like
but
what.
I'm riffing,
Yeah,
right? Like,
is there something, we're the worker bees. We're supposed to serve the queen, but we didn't love her. I don't know. Or we secretly despised her because we wanted to be the queen. I get what you're saying, where it's like playing into that.
well, Alex Jones had the whole water is turning the frogs gay rant. That's a riff
Oh,
off. Yeah, he's like, they're turning the
okay.
frogs gay. There's fluoride in the
I don't
water.
watch a
That
lot of
was
Infowars.
It's a famous clip. It's been memed. I don't watch
Oh,
any.
I haven't seen that.
I look like someone who's an Infowars subscriber, but in fact I'm not. Okay,
Maybe
dope. All
that's your
right.
identity. I look like Alex Jones's fan base.
I look like the only reason I wasn't at the Jan 6 riots is because I'm lazy. But like I was there in spirit. All right, I'm gonna do my second one. We've been moving the chains pretty efficiently. Coming next to the
Great.
stage. This one will pop. I said the other one. This isn't even okay. Okay. Elon Musk is he's on hard times. He's looking for ways to make extra money, like they did the Twitter check marks. I think that what's coming next is really gonna piss people off. It's not a self-driving Tesla, it's a self-towing Tesla. That's it. That's the whole. It tows itself. It's like you shouldn't have parked me here, and then it drives to the impound lot, and then you come back and you're like, "Where's my car that drives itself?" And it's like it towed itself. It's a self towing Tesla, and is this a feature? Who asked for this upgrade? And it's like no one
Okay,
asked,
I get it.
no one asked for it, but he needs to pay the bills, and things have been tough over at Twitter. So it's a self-towing Tesla. It's stupid. It's like I wasn't misdirecting you that I had this really good joke. I have a really unfinished rough idea of a self-towing
Because
Tesla.
I was thinking like at first when you said a tow truck comes and get it, I'm like, oh, it's self-towing. So for whatever reason, my dumb brain was like, oh, the hook on the back swings around front and props it up and pulls itself. Like my brain was doing that. I was like, how is that even physically possible? And then I realized like, oh no. Like this is like it's like telling on itself. Like what if it was instead of calling a towing feature, what if it's called a tattletale feature? Where it'll be like you're parked illegally, it will then drive itself to a lot. Like it reads the sign and goes, I'm parked illegally, I'm gonna take care of this.
Like
What
now
if
when you park,
if you said tattletale feature, maybe because when you said towing, the imagery I got was something physically coming, but then like self-towing, I don't, that image struggles. But if you go, it has a tattletale feature where it will just turn itself in. Like it will drive to the nearest police station, print out a report, like, and give itself a ticket. Or like what if they have a built-in printer that prints a ticket inside the car?
I like the idea that we expand on it. So instead of just towing, it also has a snitch feature. It's like, you know, my driver smoked weed in the car. Officer, here's the readout. Like, you know, he sped, officer. Like, just it takes a picture of you, like a selfie in the car, and then it automatically, like, it's ransomware. It's basically it's a Tesla's ransomware.
And then you could can do like more obscure like laws, like it committed treason in the car, like, or just like, you know, like random obscure things, like get embezzled funds from within the vehicle. like here's a printout of his phone that had like the embezzlement or whatever. Like it just tells on you on everything.
Yeah,
because like speeding and parking, like those are like good bases. But then if you like go to like some random obscure crime.
So towing and speeding tickets are two things that are like really annoying. And so I'm looking for like what are other things that are like fine worthy, and we really hate the people, like we hate speed traps and we hate tow trucks. So like what's a third thing? Because rule of three, what's like a third thing where we hate it when we see it, but like we got to do it? Like maybe it's
people put boots on it, but that's kind of similar to like parking ticket.
It's got to be this is where the comment section gets to shine. They have infinite time. They could listen to it in the shower and then come back a day later and be like, I instantly thought of insert third thing here.
So I'm trying to think. Tickets, towing. Oh, like expired registration.
Okay, maybe, yeah.
I'm just trying to think of what else you get fined on in reference to your car.
Oh, not wearing a seatbelt.
Yeah.
Let's see. Insurance expired.
Failure to yield. You don't turn your blinker on.
I also like the idea of ran a stop sign, right? And then it's like, wait a minute. It's supposed to be a self-driving car. You're snitching on yourself at that point. Okay, so now it's a conversation with the car, right? And it's like, we have a new feature where we will automatically tow you because you parked illegally, unless you pay the fine here. It's like, fine, I'll pay the fine. New feature, you know, you sped back there, so pay the fine, right? Fine. New feature, you rolled through that stop sign, pay it now. Wait a minute. You rolled through that stop sign. Oh, I see.
Yeah. It finds itself.
Finds itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paying
car has less value, resale value.
paying traffic tickets with Twitter stock.
Yeah, like what if it's like, you know, like when you get like a DUI, like you have to do like the breathalyzer thing. What if there's a feature on your car where it's like, my car's been so bad lately. It ran 3 stop signs and sped twice. So now it can't go over 25 miles an hour. Like your car is in like timeout or detention. Like it has like features that have been disabled because it's been so bad. Because it's been a naughty car.
It's like your car was weaving in inside the lines. It's like, fine, man, but it's a self-driving car. So you're gonna need to turn it into a transformer and have it walk the 9 steps because I wasn't driving. I mean, I'm drunk, but I wasn't driving.
Yeah, no, that is funny where there's a field sobriety test for self-driving cars where it's like you have too much transmission fluid, don't we? It's like, what are you talking about, officer? And they have it do like those field tests. It's like drive on 2 wheels on an angle for 90 meters and now go in reverse and like just like insane car tricks.
I like that.
Because have you seen the Reno 911 where like the guy like has like that cowboy hat and he like does the thing backwards and she goes, oh no, still step, I'll change for lap, and then he goes, oh man, I'm surprised I can do this because I'm drunk, and she goes, oh, I got you. Like,
that's the thumbnail for the whole video. It's us both go like this.
Yeah. Gotcha. So then like what if you did something like where there's a field sobriety test for a self-driving car
I
where
like
it's like,
that.
all right, blink one headlight at a time, close your left, turn off your left headlight. How many numbers am I holding up? Like, you just do like a whole like field sobriety test, but for the Tesla.
It would have to be hard for those cars. You have to give it like full algebra equations and like
Yeah.
this
What's
stuff.
the square root of 549 times 2 divided by pi?
You were correct, but you answered 0.02 seconds slow, so you're drunk.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh, ethanol. They had too much ethanol alcohol.
Okay, yeah. Because that's is that the one that's made of corn?
But also it sounds like alcohol. Ethanol, alcohol,
Yeah.
too much
Okay.
ethanol. Yeah. Shay, you're supposed to be below 10% ethanol. What's in the tank? Maybe had a little too much, but you know, I ain't hurt nobody, officer. Hell yeah.
That is
All
funny. I
right.
do like the idea of a bad self-driving car.
Well, that's the knockoff brand. So like the Tesla
Yeah.
would never do it, but like what's the knockoff brand?
Like a
I don't know.
Kroger brand car. Or
The
like
new
great
Cricket.
value.
The Cricket self-driving.
Yes. The Boost Mobile of cars.
Just took the edge off. I get nervous driving. All right. Okay. We went through two of our rough ideas, mine rougher than yours. We're going to do the last part of the pod where we pull up a random idea. So I'm going to generate two random ideas, and then you're going to pick which one you want. We'll each write for 2 minutes. If you're at home, I encourage you to pull out a timer, pause the video, run for 2 minutes. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. This channel is baller. And if you're a comedian, you want to be on the channel, follow me on Instagram, Stram Show. Where can they find you, Ryan?
On Instagram and TikTok at Ryan Erwin, RYERWIN, and elsewhere at Ryan Erwin Comedy.
Dope. So I'm going to press the button, and this will be the first time I've ever seen these. The first one is scattered food. Scattered food. And the second one is rye dates. WRY dates. Ryan, do you want to tackle scattered food or rye dates?
I'll take rye dates for 200.
I love that you did it. Okay. I'm going to take scattered food, 2 minutes on the clock, and write. All right. That is the timer. Ryan, what did you get?
So, rye dates. I said rye is a type of bread, and dates are a type of torture produced by nature. I overheard one of my friends say that they had rye on dates and that it was terrible and dry and flavorless. And I was like, tough but fair, but I'm a total catch. I then said he wasn't that memorable either, and that was the story of my first divorce.
I like
Because
that.
my
I
name's
like that a lot.
Ryan. So when you said
Yeah.
rye dates, I was like,
Ooh.
okay,
We've got
there's
a
something I
triple
can play with
entendre.
that. So
Triple
I went with the
entendre.
entendre instead of, because I've actually never tried a date.
What
So
does
I
the
was like,
word what I haven't Googled. I'm gonna Google it. What does the word rye actually mean?
it's a
Like
type of bread.
it means a couple things. So like using or
Oh,
expressing dry, mocking humor. I knew like that's a wry way of saying it. Yeah.
yeah.
And then you also have twisted into an expression of disgust, disappointment, or annoyance. So like a wry date could be like a super
Oh,
dry
did you
date.
see WRY? Rye?
WRY.
I wrote
Yeah, yeah.
RYE as in the type of bread.
That is fine. It makes complete
Ah,
sense. It's phonetically the
okay.
same
Yep,
thing.
'cause I
Okay.
wrote RYE. Okay, that
I like how you're looking at me like I don't know what words are when I start doing the definition. It's like
yeah,
no, no,
because
no.
when you
It's
said
two
rye, I was
different.
like, pretty sure rye bread is the type of bread.
Pretty sure it's a bread, you straight dummy. Okay.
And WRY, that is different. Okay. I
See,
probably would have gone in a different direction.
but
Okay.
you can take that little note now and you can go in a completely different direction with it. You've started something. Okay. There
Okay.
are no accidents in the writing pod. There are only new beginnings. I don't know. Make it you can gay it up for me. There's the
Well,
idea
the
there. Okay.
Bob Ross, there's no mistakes, only happy accidents.
There you go. So you did it perfectly. Okay. Mine was scattered food. So I wonder what a scavenger hunt looks like to a mongoose. Hey man, stop hiding those eggs. That's not a children's game. That's scattered food. I hate that one. My girlfriend says my room. I'm just being honest. I don't want the
I love
audience
that
to think
immediately. You're like, no.
no, I would never say there's no hold for applause on. Okay. Number two, my girlfriend says my room is messy just because it's full of scattered food, but I say it's a scavenger hunt and she's just complaining. She said I needed to do new stuff in the bedroom anyway. So I don't like that one either. Um, I think the third one's a winner though. You think birds hate how we scatter bird seed just kind of like in their general direction? Like if I threw 40 cut up pieces of cheeseburger at a homeless guy, they would ban my TikTok. Like
No, that is pretty good. No, I
yeah.
do like that one. That one is definitely the strongest.
And then that's the only that I started to write I can't eat with chopsticks, but I ran out of time. But I
No,
was
I
gonna
think
say
that whole thing of, we feed birds in a really weird way, like, could you imagine just like babysitting and just like throwing pieces of ham and cheese on bread on the ground, like, have at it, kids.
ooh, I like babysitting. You wouldn't
Yeah,
do that with a baby.
yeah. You don't just like dump all the peas on the floor and be like, eat up.
You wouldn't do that with a small child at Halloween. Here, it's fun sized. Like, nice. Ooh, a flight attendant throwing peanuts.
Just like whatever's in the aisles, fair game.
I like how, like, a flight attendant's like, would you like peanuts? It's like, no, thank you. And then she's like, well, it's not about you. I'm definitely doing this more for me than you. Look at how annoying I'm being with the distribution. Okay. Ryan, very successful episode.
Thank you.
Loved having you on. So excited about your dry bar specials. And yeah, I think we both got better today. We wrote some tags, we practiced. Look forward to seeing you again soon when you come through Texas. And until then,
Perfect.
if you're sitting at home, write more jokes. Let's get funnier. And I'll see you guys next time.